In this video, we're going to be making a superstructure that fits over the top of this bar. Note that this bar has these little attachments on it as well. So the first thing we're going to do is, in the model designer, we're going to look for the separate tool and we're going to draw gum line. So I'll just fast forward this a little bit. Here what we are aiming to achieve is a small miniature model so we can precisely block it out. Then we're going to mark the gum line, make sure that it is pink, otherwise it's not going to be working, and we're not going to engage in making dies. However, we're going to use the menu below and then move this down a little bit and then remove tooth. We have two separated objects. Then in the block out, name this lower, and we're going to set our offset to very little, so 0.05, as we are laser centering over the top of it. Apply this and make sure that the voxel thickness is very small. At present 0.2 is too large and we're losing detail, so 0.1 seems to be really good. And then we're going to apply that, and then we're going to survey the lower. Make sure that you get a good path of insertion, and then we're not going to use the auto default models. We're rather going to go into the sculpting. So this is the passive model. I'm going to set that at 0.1 millimeter voxel thickness. But this won't do because we would like to catch these little attachments inside of our structure. So we've adjusted the dynamic undercuts. I'm going to set that to minus 0.1, and then we're going to go into the sculpt. Note that I'm pushing the orange mesh inside so that we can create some undercuts. This is so that then we can insert these attachments into our superstructure. So once this is done, we're going to then accept it. Note that I'm also adding a little bit. And then we're going to create our retentive model, set the voxel thickness at 0.1 to make sure that it is really fine and detailed. Then going off to the splint module, we're going to name this target model, and this time around we're going to paint a very thin layer over the top of this. This is so that we have a spacer for glue or whatever we need to insert this into. So I've set this to 0.4, which is 0.2, that's 200 microns. So we'll just speed this video up a little bit. So the idea is to make a little spacer and accept this layer. We're going to then set the voxel thickness at 0.1 and then exit. Now we're going to veer off the model designer and off the modules. Going to edit mode. Up top there's a ball tool. So select the green and then the model and then click on union. This will unify the two meshes. And this is the mesh we are interested in to make our layer. So make sure it's called target model, and this time I'm going to draw a line. Let's fast forward this a little bit. So once this is done, we're going to fuse the other side and we're going to trim it and then clean it. Don't worry that this one is not so detailed. This is because we are making a layer from it. Accept the layer, and we're going to set this to 1.5, or we can set this to 1.4, for example. That will give us a 0.75 millimeter layer. I'm going to set this to 1.4, so it's 0.7 millimeter when it's finished. And then we're going to accept the layer, and we're going to give this a quick sculpting, smoothing. So we're going to smooth down this layer a little bit, and then set the voxel thickness at 0.1 and finish it. So this basically finishes our layer, and we can then send it off for laser metal sintering. If you'd like to add little retention beads, go to the model designer under the carving tool, the patch up tool, and then you can put a few little balls on there if you wanted to. So that's just an option, and this is what we sometimes do in the lab. So we're going to exit that, and then go to the cutting tools, cut finish surface. Note that the green needs to be called layer and the other one target model for that button to work. And this is finished, and then we can insert our little attachments, our plastic attachments in there.